Thing that we do, Ted. You have any other questions or comments?
Well, that sounds like some pretty reasonable and safe advice.
Yeah, it is really, really a big focus, and we're preparing for what we think's coming. And my history in doing this, I've been doing this for 40 years, and I pretty much have a good idea of what's coming. So give us a call
And
over at my
you do feel
office.
like it'll be sooner than later.
I don't know when. We don't. But here, they're saying they're going to taper. They're going to finish that by mid-year. We're going to have some volatility. They're still pushing a lot of money out there. But when those interest rates start going up, which I feel high certainty of that being in early 2023, because that's beyond the midterms. But with this inflation, the Fed might well be forced to do that earlier. So we could see the back half, sometime in 2022, we could see more volatility show up. And that's what you have to be concerned about. What's your age, Ted? If you don't mind saying.
69.
69. Okay. You've already built this money up. You don't have time to do this again. So you do need proper balance, right. And you don't need, and even if we were doing good and expecting the market to continue to go up for years to come, and remember, it does cycle out. Our history of the market is it does always come back, is what it's done in history. It's just, how long will it take? We don't know. Do you have time for that? Not really at age 69 to take income from that. So even if we're in an environment that we weren't worried about that happening, a pullback the next couple years or a drastic one, I still would not have all of your money exposed to stocks, maybe only half that would be exposed to potential downside, even if we're going after a positive market environment. So you do have too much exposure there. So I suggest you call my office. It's 504-832-9200 and start a conversation. No pressure. You don't have to make any decisions. You can stay right where you are. And also we'll take a look at some tax efficiency for you as well. Thanks for calling, Ted. Appreciate you listening to my show.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, Greg.
I like how much more direct and clear you got when you figured out his age.
Yeah, that's a little concerning, age 69. Think about, and we didn't get into amounts, but say he has $600,000 between his 401ks. 30% pullback. Yikes.
Well, I like what you said.
Almost a couple $100,000. Like, then he's got to wait for that. The Great Recession, it took like 4 years for that money to come back. And the market was all 50% then. Could it do that again? Yeah. The early 2000s, we had 3 consecutive years of double-digit downside. Then it started moving back up a few years, and then 08 came, which was a 50% sell-off over that from late 2007 through April of 2009. That was a very long period of it going down. And you just don't need to have that type of exposure. You need a plan to where things will adapt, things will shift, move a lot away from risk if need be when that time comes.
Yeah, the takeaway quote was, you already spent all the time building this up. You don't have time to do it again.
No. Yeah, that's one reason to have diversification in investments and diversification in asset classes as well. So we were talking about Social Security. Once again, the 5.9% adjustments, the largest since 1982. The Department of Labor said its broader measure of inflation, the Consumer Price Index, rose 5.4% in September from a year earlier. That is really something. Social Security Administration also said the maximum amount of earnings subject to Social Security tax will increase to $147,000 in 2022 from $142,800 this year. That's a 2.9% increase. So once again, they're going to be collecting more taxes on Social Security benefits. And that's, remember, you're kind of worried about Social Security. With Social Security, it goes working, then yeah, it could impact them. The smaller increase is based on the agency's own calculation of the change in annual wages. Well, can they give us some more information on that? Other data shows recent wage increases are not keeping up with inflation. Average hourly earnings for the private sector workers rose 4.6% in September from a year earlier.
I found an interesting stat here from CNBC.com. This increase is going to affect households' budgets for 1 in 5 Americans. So this is a big deal. 20% of households are looking at this as an increase for them.
Well, I think we have a little bit of time to wait to find out what the Medicare premium adjustment's going to be. I'm going to have a prediction. It's going to come in at less than 5.9%. Healthcare costs have not risen as much, I feel, this year. But gosh, I was watching a show that's kind of covering meat price, just all kind of prices, meat prices, other grocery items and such. And they're kind of talking, what's the impact of, well, gasoline. Really? Gasoline's affecting food? Yeah, it all has to be transported. Somebody's got to truck it from one place to another. That's a big part of it right there.
They're not growing bananas in the back? They're not coming from the warehouse?
No, they're not growing them down the street.
All right, if you have a financial situation, you got a question for Gregory, 504-260-0995. I'm James Parker. We're Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
You all are so good. I've listened to you for years.
Ask Gregory is a financial podcast from the guys who bring you Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
I am near retirement, and I wish I would have been listening to y'all for the last...
Tools of the financial world.
I have a broker. He has no idea what you and I just talked about.
From your 401k to your IRA to your pension to your Social Security to your Medicare.
Hi, Greg. Appreciate your service to the community.
From your ETFs to your precious metals.
The program helps to ground me. There's some personal, real life there.
Find the Ask Gregory podcast on the Winning at Life app, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you can find podcasts, probably.
That's exactly what I needed to know. Hey, I love your show.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. The firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any government.
2 questions. Do you have a pulse? Do you own anything? If you said yes to both, you probably need a will. You may even need a trust. We all know a lawyer. Do you know someone who specializes in estate planning? Do you really trust the husband of your sister's friend from family in the hands of the estate planning attorney of the Total Wealth Authority? I'm Wes Blanchard. What's your plan? Offices in Metairie and at WJ Blanchard.
Most people think of Crime Stoppers as only a tip reporting line, but we're so much more. Crime Stoppers GNO has worked in our area schools, offering prevention presentations on trending topics from drugs, bullying, online safety, suicide prevention, and much more. And we have a high school teen leadership program which provides students with a first-hand look at the students. So to learn more, visit safeschoolsla.com or call 504-837-8477.
If you like money, you'll love the Winning at Life app. On the Winning at Life app, you can listen to the show live. Not on at the moment. You can hear a replay of the latest episode of Start on your retirement savings or keeping up with the financial news. Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is there on demand. Hear the Winning at Life show on the Winning at Life app, your wallet's favorite app.
News, I'm Rich Dennison. President Biden today urging more companies to require their employees, saying it's helping in the fight against the pandemic.
Every day we see more requirements, and the mounting data shows that they work.
The president says 66 million Americans are still unvaccinated, a number he calls unacceptably high. New York real estate heir Robert Durst sentenced today by a California judge to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of his best friend Susan Berman more than 2 decades ago. Berman's adopted son, Sared Kaufman, spoke at today's sentencing.
You also murdered me. You murdered the person I was, all his dreams and all his hopes.
Say they plan to appeal the sentence. America's listening to Fox News.
Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks is a copyright of Down South Strategies for the private use of our audience. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without express consent is prohibited. For podcasts, show information, and contacts to our sponsors, go to winningatlife.com or download the Winning at Life app. If you've got a financial situation and you're better call Gregory. We are Winning at Life with Gregory Ricks.
New car. I'm on. Okay. New car. New cars growing increasingly expensive, with costs rising 1.3% in September and 8.7% compared with a year ago. Up 24% over the past 12 months. Prices for household furniture, which has faced major shipping delays, jumped 2.4% in September alone, the biggest increase since 1988. Over the past 12 months, furniture costs have soared 11.2%. Cost of shoes rose 0.5% in September, have jumped 6.5% in the past year. Children's shoes are up 11.9%, a record high gain in data that stretches back to the 1950s. That's just a little bit of idea. Jump back over to Social Security. Affected the standard 2022 monthly premium for Medicare Part B, which covers doctor visits and other type of outpatient care, would increase by about $10. So it's definitely less than the 5.9%. Would increase to $158.50. That would consume about 11% of the monthly Social Security benefits. I think it may be a little bit more than that. But once again, you look at, we're getting a raise.